Get ready, Staten Island. It's time to celebrate 5 years of Ferry Hawks baseball. Join us Friday, April 24th through Sunday, April 26th for our first homestand of the season and our 5th anniversary celebration. Score big with $5 tickets. Grab $5 domestic draft beers. Enjoy $5 popcorn. And yes, 2 Nathan's hot dogs for just $5. Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats. The Dominic Carter Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Something is rotten in Denmark. It doesn't pass the smell test. Dominic Carter here with you. The number to reach us this hour, 800-848-9222. So, Dominic, what are you talking about? Well, finally, some justice for the railroaded former NYPD Sergeant, New York City Police Department Sergeant, and this could be impacting any police department throughout the country. But his name, Erik Duran, and pending his appeal, his bond has been met, which means that he is set to be released from Elmira State Prison. He, of course, was convicted of manslaughter and that throwing the cooler incident against a drug suspect. And so the reason why I say something doesn't pass the smell test, folks, under normal circumstances, when there's a conviction, manslaughter in this case, they spend some time at Rikers until they're sent to a processing center, a mid-state facility, before they go on to the state penitentiary. But yet somehow, with this police sergeant, poof, it's happened like that. He's gone from convicted to the big house within a matter of days. How is that? Somebody behind the scenes wanted this man at the big house. I'm stating this as someone that has covered the court system, this entire process, for 4 decades. You do not just go from Rikers to Elmira within a matter of days. It doesn't happen. 800-848-9222. And when I think about it, right, now this man, Sergeant Erik Duran, had a clean record. No complaints, no anything. And next thing you know, he's at a state penitentiary. And I've been to many of the state penitentiaries in New York State, to Attica, to Sing Sing, covering the graduations there. I've been there maybe 7 years in a row. I've also been to Elmira. And Elmira is where he's at or should be released right now. And the one thing that stands out when you get to these state penitentiaries are the walls. The walls are like 3 to 4 stories, concrete walls of a building. It is obvious that you are in a prison. That is no joke at all. But before I come back to Sergeant Duran, and I've been focusing on this, and I will continue to focus on it, because there is a GoFundMe page I've now found out for that 15-year-old kid, 15 years old, and of course his name, Jaden Pierre. Jaden Pierre, what did he do? Why did he deserve to die the way that he did? It is awful. You see a gang of young people. They're laughing. The thumps you're about to hear is him being punched in the face where he's barely able to stand. But that wasn't enough for this savage crew. What did they do after that? After they punched him in his face 5 or 6 times, they shot him and killed him in his chest. Roy Wilkins Park in Queens, a popular park. And his mother is speaking out. His mother calling them a vulgar term to all the people that punched her son, that was involved in this, and to those that just stood there laughing, watching, and videotaping the murder of a 15-year-old kid. I played this at the midnight program, but it's very compelling. The actual audio, listen carefully, the thumps that you hear, or the ooh, is when he's punched viciously in the face before he's shot in the chest. And at that point, you see him fall over a banister, or maybe it's a metal fence, just like in the movies. But this wasn't Hollywood. This was the ending of a 15-year-old's life. This is Mamdani's New York. This is what's occurring all around the country. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to deal with it. 800-848-9222. I am telling you, this NYPD sergeant was set up. I spent a good deal of the morning watching a video of Arthur Aidala, who was one of the lawyers on the defense counsel. Now, in high pressure situations like this, sometimes you'll have other figures come into the courtroom for sentencing. I personally have never, or I don't recall, a chief judge of that borough coming to the courtroom as the individual is sentenced. A lot of funny things have gone on in this case. This sergeant was just convicted, sent to Rikers Island, and then poof, just like that, he's upstate at Elmira, the state penitentiary. It doesn't happen that fast. Somebody wanted this sergeant, somebody of power, wanted to make an example of this man. I want you to listen. Again, this is Arthur Aidala, and then we're going to some of your telephone calls. Arthur Aidala on the defense team describing what happened as this Sergeant Erik Duran was sentenced to 3 to 9 years, railroaded in the case of this drug suspect.
I've never participated in something like that representing a police officer. It was very, very intense, very intense. There were, I don't want to throw out numbers, but I don't know, over 100 members of the NYPD and maybe even other law enforcement agencies there. There was also protesters there. Black Lives Matter people were there and some family from the deceased. I mean, it was really, really, really tense. The courtroom was packed. I mean, when I say packed, I mean packed. Besides the judge who was going to hand down the sentencing, the chief judge of the Bronx, Judge Yearwood, he was in the courtroom as well, just on the sideline as a spectator, but like in his robes. And I will tell you, as a lawyer, like you usually don't have two judges in this courtroom at the same time. But that's how intense it was. The major of the building, he's the court officer who's in charge of the whole building, he was front and center. I mean, it was as you know, I mean, I've done the Harvey Weinstein case, Lawrence Taylor, Rudy Giuliani. I mean, I've done some big cases, but this was right up there with all of them. And it was really an emotional roller coaster ride. It really upset me.
This sergeant was set up. It's as simple as that. Somebody in power said, we're going to make an example out of him. And that's exactly what they did. Within a matter of days, poof, convicted. But a matter of days, he's gone from Rikers to Elmira. It doesn't happen that way. You normally go to a mid-state processing facility. You spend some time there. They make sure you're up on your shots, all the processing information. You may spend a week or two there. No, it didn't happen in this case. In this case, somehow he ended up in a major state prison in New York State within a matter of days. Defense counsel Arthur Aidala continuing.
Everyone did their role, right? So the prosecutor spoke and they asked for 3 to 9 years. I don't think they thought they were ever getting 3 to 9 years. Then the deceased mom spoke through an interpreter, and she didn't speak very long, but she talked about how much she missed her son and how much his children miss him. Then the attorney who tried the case, Andrew Quinn, for the sergeant, spoke, and he was fantastic. And he highlighted the fact that this sergeant had never been in trouble in 15 years. He had taken 50 guns off the streets. He had taken hundreds of bullets off the streets, never had a CCRB complaint against him, never had any complaint against him, never fired his weapon in 15 years, had so many awards and commendations, and this was a 2.5-second event where he had to decide what to do. And when the judge came time, and then Erik spoke, and in Spanish, he apologized to the family of the deceased, and specifically to the mom, and it was very poignant and very touching. And then he told the judge, I became a police officer to protect people, and that's what I was trying to do that day, because this guy was on a motorcycle heading towards people, about to hit people, and I hit him with the cooler just to stop him from hitting other people. And it was touching. And then the judge spoke, and here was the part that was rough. If he spoke for 15 minutes, give or take, 12 and a half was about how great the sergeant was and his background and his history and all that. And we were like, wow, he's going to cut him a break. Yeah. And then he goes, but you took someone's life, and here's 3 to 9 years. Wow. I actually said something out loud, like I cursed to myself, but it came out of my mouth, which it shouldn't have. I mean, nobody heard it but me.
Interesting. The deck was stacked. Something is rotten in Denmark. We may not ever know. This man took a fall, this NYPD sergeant, and it could happen no matter what city you're listening to us in right now. It could happen to a member of your police force quite easily as well. Dominic Carter here with you, 800-848-9222. About to start with your telephone calls, Louisiana, oh, Louisiana. Oh, the father taking his own 7 children and one of their cousins, the baby mamas or the wife and the girlfriend, whatever, they have to ID the children at the morgue. One is young as 1 year old. Army vet, apparently snapped for some reason. In Louisiana on television, this was how it was portrayed.
Some of the updates that we got there from the police department there in Shreveport, Louisiana. This was a shooting that had several different locations. It happened around this morning when officers responded to a shooting that occurred just after 6 a.m. It was determined that this was a domestic situation in nature. It was an extensive crime scene spanning between 2 residences. The third residence on Harris Street there in Shreveport, Louisiana, was also a part of that crime scene. At least 10 people, as of right now, were shot. 8 of them are deceased. The age ranges are from 1 year to about 14 years old. All the deceased in this situation are juveniles, as the police department just pointed out there. The person who is suspected in this, believed to be responsible, while leaving a residence, performed a carjacking near the West 79th Street in Linwood. The Shreveport patrol officers got behind the vehicle, chased it into another house, it looks like, at which point the officers started shooting, and the suspect is now dead. As he pointed out there's no longer an active crime threat or an active threat to the situation. The suspect is dead.
And so the police, and thank you to the police in Louisiana, they made sure that we don't have to deal with him ever again. Or no other family has to deal with him ever again. It is time for a break. When we come back, your live telephone calls. Stay with us.
The Dominic Carter Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I'm looking at my Twitter at my X, and Mitch says, as a former state correction officer, the quick transfer of the former NYPD sergeant probably saved his life, as Rikers would have been a death sentence. Elmira Correctional Facility has a reception unit for incoming newly incarcerated felons. Catherine Trunk and her mom, who's about to be 97. Catherine says, referring to that 15-year-old and I made this point last night, I kid you folks not, a deer in the middle of a lake would have had a better shot against 8 alligators than this 15-year-old kid had. And Catherine says, thoroughly disturbing the violent massacre of the 15-year-old boy in Queens. His perpetrators and accomplices need an exorcism. You're right, Catherine. You're right. Then jailed, she says. Going down, DMS, the lovely DMS says, why do these crimes look like this? And there's surveillance video of the suspects referring to these animals that went to the Lowe's, I think in Brooklyn. Yes, Brooklyn Lowe's, in the parking lot. 2 women about to get into a car that's running. They snatch the car. The women go flying in the air, and they mow down a 72-year-old man using a walker. And you ask me why, you say, why do these crimes look like this? You know why. Because their mothers didn't do a community service and terminate the pregnancies. That's why. That's why. Let's go to your telephone calls. Oh, here we go. Let's start. I spoke to him in the midnight program. Let's start with Walter in Baltimore, Maryland. Line 4. What's on your mind, Walter?
Yeah.
Walter, are you with me?
Yeah, my point.
Go ahead. What's on your mind?
My point just is that this man, he's no hero. He's no.
Wait. You said this man. What this man? Who are you referring to?
Duran, Officer Duran.
Okay, Sergeant Duran. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I don't think he should have gotten such a harsh sentence. That being said, there has to be no precedent for such violence. It's private property. He picked up someone's cooler. I don't think that police officers should be held up to a standard where that.
And what about the drug dealer? What about the drug dealer? The drug dealer that didn't have on a helmet, that was riding a moped at a rather fast speed to get away. What about him, Walter?
Yeah. That's obviously bad. However, we cannot have a precedent for extreme force in the police department. That's wrong. And this officer should go back to his job, but humbled with shame and regret for what he did. Because
Walter, you just said we can't have a police force with extreme force. I believe that's what you just said. Well, what about the 15-year-old kid that was killed in Queens, New York? Beaten to death by a black mob, and he's African American himself. What about him?
That's awful. What about that?
What about that? That's exactly what I thought you would say. What about that? Thank you for the call, Walter. Dominic Carter here with you, folks. We are going to take a break. We're coming right back with more of your telephone calls.
The Dominic Carter Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And I am looking at some more tweets on my Twitter, on my X, DMS again. She says, would Walter, referring to the first call we just had, would Walter have preferred Sergeant Duran used his firearm aiming at the bike's wheel and accidentally hitting the criminal due to the speed? Firearm, cooler, you choose, Walter. As far as I'm concerned, I'm sorry, folks. I believe Sergeant Duran did a public service. Liz Rosenblatt says, unfortunately, more criminals are coming out of the woodwork because there's a very good chance they will go free. You are correct, Liz, in terms of what's going on here. And I'm looking I'll get to some of the other comments in just a second. Let's go to line 4. We're going to get to Iran. We see your calls. Let's go to Oscar in Manhattan, line 4. What's on your mind, Oscar?
Yeah, how you doing? How you doing, Dominic? Why they don't have a system built right now? They economically they're unstable, right? Why they don't have all these kids with criminal record that are committing these atrocious crimes and have them into labor camps and put them to clean the streets? To assist, like put them out there to work hard. You know why, Oscar? Because Democrats will say that's racist. You want the black kids to clean the streets. That's racist. That's what they'll say. Instead of saying tough love, these kids need to have their asses kicked and they need some discipline. I agree with you, Oscar, but you're preaching to the choir.
Democrat elected officials. Therein lies the problem. They keep making excuses. Democrat elected officials. And by the way, this 15-year-old boy that was punched in the face, each blow looked like it could have killed him. And then shot in his chest. Where are the civil rights leaders? Crickets. I don't hear you. Oh, there's no money involved. There's no money involved. It only works when it's white cops, right? I mean, Oscar, I agree with you, but it's just not going to work because Democrats say it's not your fault. And I don't want to get started on one of my tirades. It's not your fault. It's society's fault. It's everybody else's fault, but it's not your fault. No, it's your fault. Oscar, thank you for the great call. Judith in Brooklyn, line 1. Now, what's on your mind, Judith?
Hi, Dominic. I wanted to say about Iran, because you started off with James and Iran, what's going on. So here's my take on it. First of all, Iran was in the business, like a business of terror and death, okay, for 47 years. And the example is the 40... Yeah, so Trump is trying to, he's had enough of that kind of business, all right? That's not a business that he likes. But I have to tell you, I'm stepping back, and I really think that President Trump, he is disrupting this cozy China, Iran, Russia, Venezuela, and Cuba evil friendship that they have been having and thinking. And so he's changing the global dynamics with these crazy globalists. Of course he is. That's why I say the man is always playing chess. He's not stupid. Why do you think, Judith, he's standing back? He's letting people say whatever they want. Oh, the U.S. is tolerating. No, he's a game changer. It's a whole, you'll see at the end of this process how this is going to work out. I agree with practically everything that you just said, Judith. Thank you for the call. Hey, Judith, wait, Judith, are you still there? I'm here.
Okay, so yep. Judith, explain to me, I'm going to ask you this question. Explain to me what happened in Louisiana. Explain to me these kids in the park, Roy Wilkins Park, a wolf pack of black teens. They thought it was funny, male and female. They're punching this 15-year-old kid. He couldn't take one blow. And they punched him like 6 times in the face and then shot him in the chest. And he fell over a metal fence. Explain these. How are these things happening?
I want you to know I have no explanation. I'm telling you. I'll tell you something. We have to bring God back into people's lives and speak about God. People think that just happens like this. I guarantee you that God created this world. He runs this show. We do have freedom of choice, but you know what? There's no fear. There's no fear of God. There's no fear of police. There's no fear of anyone because they protect the criminals. That's what Mandani, a perfect example. He wants to release everybody from Rikers. Do you know that? He wants everyone, all the murders and everyone released from Rikers. This is sick. Well, they're all sick. I tell you what, Judith, I can support that. I'm being sarcastic. I can support that as long as it starts with him giving up his police detail. As long as the mayor gives up his police detail, then I'm cool with that. I'm not cool with that. But, you know, you hate the police, and thank you for the call, Judith. You hate the police so much. Well, why do you have them protecting you, Mom Donnie? You know why? Because you and your wife are phonies. I know it's not nice to say, and I'm sorry, but you're the worst kind of phony. And I'm not even going to start with how you got elected, how you had a lead blocker. I'm not going to get into that. Because that lead blocker that got you elected, that attacked Cuomo in the debates, that made sure that you cracked that 50% when you would have lost to Cuomo, that lead blocker is embarrassed, blaming everybody else when he's the one that got you in office, Mom Donnie. You two cut a deal. You know I know what time it is. Let's go to Mike, line 2, Oklahoma City. Mike, what's on your mind?
Hey, Dominic, you're a veteran reporter, and I can't think of anybody better to ask this question. Why is it that none of the current reporters will force Mondami to say how it is and why it is that it takes 3 months I'm sorry, 3 years as opposed to 3 months to build a grocery store. And
wait, Mike. He says all 5 grocery stores. The first one in East Harlem is due up in a year. I think it's 17 million or 30 million, something like that.
Million. And why it takes $30 million when your average Aldi would take $5 million? What would be his answer?
That's a great question. It starts with the reporters. What's going on right now, Mike, is, and I know legendary dean of the New York City Press Corps, Gabe Pressman, has to be turning over in his grave. Mamdani gives out interviews, and they are all kissing his you-know-what, because they want to be cool with the city's first Muslim mayor. 2 out of the 3 TV stations give him a wet kiss every night. A big wet kiss every single night. Mayor Mamdani. They have reporters assigned to City Hall that should never be covering government. Ever. They have no experience. None. And they say, oh, go down to City Hall, you cover Mamdani. So in my day at City Hall, the way that we did it, so just so it is crystal clear, you had to, and I was also the host of the show, so it meant that it was in my interest to have a great relationship with the politicians because I would need them on TV at nighttime. And my attitude was, F them. We go where the story takes us, and if you don't want to come on, don't come on. Because when I'm done banging you for the next month every day, you'll beg me to come on. And that's exactly what would happen with every single politician. And with that said, I'm not going to focus on Giuliani right now, but Giuliani proved to be a real man in terms of, because we would go to war every single day. Every day, sometimes 3-4 times a day. Lily in New Jersey, line 1. What's on your mind, Lily?
Hey, Dominic, nice to talk to you, buddy. I want to know what's your opinion about what happened in Queens the other night.
When you say my opinion, what are you asking me?
Like, what do you think? What they did, and they didn't do nothing to him. And that's not nose punk, not one word from him. Salami. Not
one word. I'm sorry. One more time. What are you asking me exactly?
What happened with Vicky Palladino?
When you said what happened in Queens, I thought you're talking about the 15-year-old boy. So when you say Vicky Palladino, the council member, what are you asking me? We're short on time. You got to be direct.
With the cars, they were doing the donuts.
You mean the donuts? So it's not Vicky Palladino. She posted about it. You're referring to the young people doing the donuts in Middle Village. A neighbor, we talked about this on the Midnight program. Obviously, you didn't catch it. They were waving Palestinian flags. You already know what I think about that. They're savages too. But they're Palestinian. So they get a free card. They get to go pass go. That's monopoly, right? You already know what I think about it. Lily, what do you think about it?
I know it's a shame today. It's nothing like when we were growing up. You know what I mean?
No. Because one, embarrassment would have stopped you from being out there. The second embarrassment would have been, I'm going to tell your mother, or I'm going to tell your father, or somebody in the community would hem you up, you know. But nowadays, it is what it is. Wild, Wild West. Lisa, Long Island, line 2. Lisa, what's on your mind?
Yeah, Dominic, I don't know what my point is, but this terrible story about that boy being beaten and then shot reminded me of about 10 years ago, a Dominican boy. He wanted to be a police officer. He was in some little program, and some gang members, I don't know if they mistook his identity or they were just wild, crazed animals. They ran after him. He went into a bodega owned by some Arab, and they beat him to death, and that was it. And the owner did nothing. He could have called the police, but there's such this senseless violence against those that actually would want to contribute, that aren't evil. It's just heartbreaking. I don't know what the solution is. I just think of that Dominican kid. He was so proud. He had a little police uniform.
Yes, he was. And you're correct. The bodega owner did nothing. I don't know, Lisa. We'd rather focus on those that are highlighting the problem than the actual problem. So I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know anymore. I mean,
so why find it so heartbreaking?
This sounds awful, Lisa, but there are those that say, let them kill themselves. Let them kill each other. That's what it's coming down to. That's what happened in Roy Wilkins Park in Queens. This boy didn't have a shot at all. Thank you for the great call, Lisa. Let's go to Roberta, line 4, Staten Island. What's on your mind, young lady?
Hey, Dominic. You know, every time you say Madame, I always think of Madame the comic, because that's only what he seems to be.
There's no seam in there. He wants every dime of your money, my money, to spend it on somebody else. What's your point, Roberta?
I'm calling about this drug bust operation. They were chasing because this guy was selling drugs, and that's why the cop threw the cooler at him.
I'm listening.
I think it should be decriminalized, because this marijuana dispensaries are all over the place. Isn't that a drug too? That's probably a gateway drug to all this other stuff.
Well, I'm not for decriminalizing anything. As far as I'm concerned, Sergeant Duran did a community service. I'm sorry. I understand the 30-year-old man that was killed. His mother doesn't speak much English, and his wife, and I get it, and the violin is out, but you shouldn't have been out there selling drugs, young man. That's the bottom line. Thank you for the call, Roberta. Let's go to line 1, Eric in Connecticut. What's on your mind, Eric?
Dominic, how are you? To 7%, when he was in the debates, he said that he was offered $10 million to bow out of the race.
And do you believe that?
Oh, my question is...
Do you know how many times we laughed at that? All of us. I shouldn't reveal on-air personalities. All of us knew that's regular you-know-what talk. He does that all the time. Makes up these stories, just outright lies. That's who he is. Do you really think somebody offered him $10 million to get out of the race?
Maybe someone offered him more to stay in, to sabotage it.
Well, nobody would offer him, but I don't even want to talk about him. But thank you for the call, Eric. It is what it is. We're stuck with Mom Donnie. Period. End of story. John in Minnesota, line 5 on Iran. John, what's on your mind?
Thanks, Dominic. Yeah, you often like to say that President Trump is playing chess. Well, if he's playing chess, I think he should stop and start playing kick-ass. He knows what he wants.
But John, how do you know he's not playing kick-ass?
Well, if the upcoming talks in the next couple of days don't reveal anything...
That's what you see publicly. How do you know what he's doing behind closed doors?
Because this is week 8, and they said it was going to end in 8 weeks. It's not ending. It looks like it's only
we'll see. My bet is on Trump. Thank you for the call, John. Time for a break. We are coming right back.
The Dominic Carter Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And the Tunnel to the Towers Foundation final thoughts of the day. I'm looking at my Twitter at my ex. Bob raises a good point here. I'm about to go to Kathy in Smithtown on line 1. But Bob says, just wondering what happens when potential shoplifters visit his supermarkets, referring to Mom Donnie. And that's a good question, Bob. Mr. Socialist Mayor, do you pat him on the head and let them go? What happens in that case? Debbie LeBedo, Staten Island says, we need God and law and order. Pay for your crime. Let's go to Kathy in Smithtown. Line 1. Kathy, what's on your mind?
Hello, Dominic. First-time caller. I just want to say thank God for that police officer, and I applaud him. And how many people did he save? And I say that as a mom whose 20-year-old son died of a drug overdose. Who knows how many people that police officer actually saved that day by doing what he did?
Sergeant Duran, you're referring to?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So wait a minute, Kathy. I don't want to get you upset. What happened with your son?
No, it's been a while now. He died of a drug overdose. It wasn't a street drug. It was a prescription drug that a friend of his had been doctor shopping and got multiple opioids from doctors.
Right, which happens a lot, especially in urban areas. How are you doing? So this happened a while ago. How are you as a mom? Mothers don't ever get over this, but how are you doing?
You never get over it, but, it was 2010 and it happened, so it's been a while. And, you come to accept things as they are, but at the same time, it's a terrible thing. And how dare that little punk be out there selling drugs on the street? How dare him?
So, Kathy, help me out with this, because I live this, but help me out with this. So when you come from, I'm going to say, an urban area, that's the term I'm going to use, and you want to do something with your life, you're called a white boy, you're called an Uncle Tom, you're called a sellout. But when you want to sell drugs and you got 8 girls pregnant at the same time, you're a hero. Explain that to me. I know I should be the one explaining it, but how is that?
I can't understand that at all. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's these liberals that just have no idea of reality out there.
Right. Well, Kathy, I really am sorry about what happened to your son. And as I said at the beginning, that whether prescription drugs or not, it still happened to your son. That's still your baby. And I'm really sorry that happened to you, that you had to go through that as a mother, because a parent should never have to bury a child. And I just wish you the best. And please don't be a stranger, a first-time caller. Whenever you want to talk politics, call up. And as far as Sergeant Duran, I'm hopeful that he's been released by now, because again, as far as I'm concerned, the man did a community service. So, I mean, you don't like to see loss of life, but you just did a buy and bust. You just sold drugs to another undercover officer, and yet the community rallies behind him. He doesn't have a helmet, riding the motor scooter. And it's the sergeant whose life is upended. Now, yes, the young man is no longer with us, but it is what it is. Kathy, thank you for the great call. Silas, Staten Island. What's on your mind, Silas?
Yeah, I'm glad someone like you who knows how the system works. And they couldn't defund the police, so they're going to try to discourage the police. If you look into that judge's record, he let murderers go with 9 or 10 months.
He did.
That was an accident, because you couldn't have planned better to hit somebody in the shoulder. They veer off and they happen to accidentally hit their head on the bumper of a car. You couldn't have planned that. It was an accident.
Right.
And whether he pushed him with his hand or whatever, it was an
community
accident.
Service accident.
So
go ahead.
That police officer should have been let go on his own recognizance, even with a high bail. It should have never happened.
I agree with you. When you look at his record, that he doesn't have the complaints and so on, it's horrible that it happened to this man. Silas, thank you for the great call. Folks, never forget, that's the commitment America made on 9/11. You can honor it by donating $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org. T2T.org. A lot to still get to, including Iran. I am back live at midnight. Have a great evening.
Thanks for listening to The Dominic Carter Show. You can hear The Dominic Carter Show weekdays at 3 p.m. and Monday through Thursday at midnight and Sunday starting at 11 p.m. on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?